You know what that means. It's time for the late night show. How's everybody today? Jim Miller, welcome to the Explorers Club. Okay, so obviously some of you guys know we got monetized this week, and the memberships are open. So we want to give a little salute to some of the members who joined even before we got on air. So those members, KR Knife Review. Thank you, Geek Mechanist. Ron was gifted a membership, and by Rami Silent. Rami Silent also joined. Neil McKenzie, now Jim Miller, and I know I'm forgetting somebody. Um, I know I'm forgetting somebody, and I apologize. William, hello there. Let's see who we got here. We got Jim Miller. So Jim, you got a phaser salute. There you go. So right now we have Roger Baker, Geek Machinist, Ron Crow, Alex Kerber, William Hornbustle, Bob Tism, Caleb 1776, my wife Jen, hello Book Dragon, Kelly's Miss Mash, War Room EDC, Titanium Justin. Let's see who else is here. Ginger Fisher 75, hello there. So it's kind of cool that we finally got monetized, and we had the subscribers, we just didn't have the watch hours. Blind Wolf Fury, hello there. Titanium Justin. I'm glad you guys are all here, guys and gals. I appreciate it. Like I said, it was a big hurdle. And the same day we got monetized, we broke 1,700 subscribers. So thank you, everybody. Joe Casper, hello. Appreciate you. Caleb, welcome to the Adventurers Guild. You get a phaser salute. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody who's joining. It's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So this was an interesting week. I told you guys last week that I wasn't going to be getting a lot of stuff. There really wasn't much on my mind to buy. Then all of a sudden, things kind of changed. There were some things that came across that I decided I wanted to go with. I didn't get a lot this week, but I got a couple of things. I didn't spend much money, thank God, because I really don't want to spend much money right now on knives. You know, I'm waiting a little bit. But I did get a couple of things, and, you know, but before we get to any of that, how's everybody doing? Everybody okay? You know, I see Roger Baker, hello there, in case I missed you. I see that a bunch of channels were on today, and I saw Rolf Robertson had won Big Red's Sunday giveaway. You know, that was kind of cool. I missed who won Zach's stuff giveaway because I fell asleep towards the end of the show. I was really tired. I went to bed really late last night to get a lot of sleep, and I wasn't feeling great this morning. And when Zach came on, I watched probably like 45% of this show and then fell asleep. So, you know. Jim Miller with the $10 super chat. For that, Jim, you get a lightsaber salute. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let's do that. But so let's see. I really appreciate that. That just kind of made my night there. I'm so glad you guys have wanted to be part of this. And there's going to be some cool stuff we're going to do, just so you know, we'll get back to what I was talking about. But before the members, there's going to be some videos that you'll be able to watch before the non-members. We're going to do a monthly members only chat, and there's going to be a monthly members giveaway. So that's how we're going to start it off. So that way it makes it a little special and some stuff to make it worth being a member, you know. But so what's everybody carrying today? Oh, let's get back to what I was talking about. I get distracted really easy, folks. You know, like a blue car goes by, I'm gonna be like, "Whoo, a blue car!" Just like Homer Simpson. But so I was watching some of the lives. I watched MPG with EDC. MPG EDC. I was watching Meredith before. She always makes me laugh. Love watching her. Then I switched over to Aries. Um, yes, Jim, your package is going to go out tomorrow morning. Actually, I didn't get a chance on over this week, and I literally just packed it up before the show. So your package is going out. So don't worry about that. And I've got a bunch of stickers and stuff where I have to get them out. I'm sorry, I know I'm behind on that, and I owe people stickers, but you'll get them. Roger Wilby, hello there. Robert Wilby, I'm sorry, I said. Okay, am I back on? Can somebody hear me? Oh, we're good. Okay, good. I know what happened there. For some reason, I won't say it, my automated assistant decided to jump on and open up something, and it killed my sound. So sorry about that. All right, good. Thanks. So like I said, I was watching everybody's lives today. It was a lot of fun. Watched In and Out yesterday. Same thing happened to me last night. I was watching Big Red, and about, I don't remember, right before the numbers game, I fell asleep. So I have no idea who won, but I know it wasn't me. But that's been happening lately, you know. Salvo Zen, hello there. Welcome in. Jesse, welcome in. Ron, I don't know. I hit one of your audio problems. I usually don't have those, so sorry about that. Shay, what's up, Shay? So we got a lot of people here. 31 people in. Appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. So yeah, that's kind of what happened, Jim. I fell asleep while Big Red was showing off the swag. Definitely. Thanks, Brian White. I appreciate it. You know, it was I got there thanks to all you guys and girls. I mean, if you guys weren't watching, Dave, what's up, Dave from El Paso, my pal? How are you doing, buddy? But like I said, if it wasn't for all you guys and girls subscribing, watching, you know, um, my videos lately have been getting more watch time. My shorts have gone back up to where they were, you know, getting lots of views there. I don't know if it helped that I've been cross promoting everything on TikTok and Instagram, and I don't know if that's bringing more people in, but I'm gaining subscribers pretty quickly, and I'm pretty happy about that. You know, your dad gifted you a hidden. Wow, that's some gift, Geek Mechanics. The Benchmade Hidden Canyons are not inexpensive. So that's really good. No problem, Dave. You can work anytime. But um, yeah, like I said, that's a great gift, Geek Mechanics. You know, that's what are we talking about? Like a $300 knife right there. So very cool. Very, very cool. So speaking of knives, um, I'll show you what I carried today briefly. I didn't carry a lot as far as knives went. I basically just carried this guy, which is the Sencut Cybri. Really nice knife. And actually, this was one of the things that came into the channel, and this came in by chance. I went to JT's knife store in Port Jervis, New York, and he had a case, a display case, and all the knives in the display case were 50% off. So these things usually sell for about $59 or so, and I got it for $30. I couldn't resist the deal on that. So he had some other really cool stuff in there. If you're anywhere near the Port Jervis, New York area, check out. He's got a display case of stuff that's 50% off. That's just really cool stuff. You know, like I said, this was in there. Yeah, absolutely, Dave. I love this, man. So this is one of the things that came in, but we'll get more to that. So I carried that, and I really didn't carry much else as far as knives went today. I think I have in my pocket. I do. I have the Gateway Barlow by Jack Wolf. That's the other knife I carried. I didn't carry a fixed blade today, which is unusual for me, but I didn't. I don't know why. For some reason, I just went out of the house without throwing one on. So that's really what I carried. And obviously, you know, my multi-tool and that sort of stuff. What are you guys carrying? Oh, Ramses, did you get my message before? Hit me up on Instagram with your information. I got something coming your way. So the first two subscribers, by the way, were KR Knife Reviews and Ramses Silent. Those are the first two. So I appreciate them. They hit it like as soon as I posted it, like boom, pretty close right after each other. So Ramses, since you didn't get the salute yesterday, I'm going to give you the phaser salute today. Excellent, excellent. So what are you guys carrying? I'm just real curious. I like to know what everybody's carrying on a Sunday. Are we carrying gentlemen's knives for those who went to church? Are we carrying, you know, outdoorsy knives for people who hung out on the outdoors? Petrified fish bunta. Love that knife. And the Kubi Thalia. I have both of those. You know, I don't. The bunta is, to me, one of the most perfect EDC knives out there. You know, brown sugar, welcome in. The Kubi Boom, the Riot. Nice. The pickled steel rhino. And the Corgi pup. Nice carry, Caleb. Leatherman Arc. Squirt, PS4, Sog Power Pint. Roby-One Aurora. Sentinel Strike, NAFS Under 2. Wow, that's a huge carry, Ramses. Freaking Sabertooth from Monterey Bay. Which, Bob, those are back in stock now. They had those and the Wolverines back in stock. So anybody who was looking for one of those, they are back. Jim Miller, the ProTech Cambria, QSP Hedgehog, BP Knives, BP Knives by Bill Page, Custom Fixie. Okay, excellent. Kubi Titus on skiffs. That must be really smooth by adding skiffs. Worksharp Elite. Nice. Nice. Neil McKenzie, CJRB Bolt, the Gerber US1. Now, Neil, is that the new version of the US1 or is that the original version? Just curious. Tiny Sog on a key ring. And the phone mode. Nice. Wallet, keys, and phone. Yes, as always, Jen. And half the time you don't have your keys. Don't lie. You make me carry them. But Kubi Wolverine, the Baton Pro 3. Nice. CJR Pyrite Light, Glow Scales, the Red Rider Vibe, the Phoenix LD30. Nice. Nice. The new version, USA made. I hear they're pretty nice. I haven't seen it in person yet because nobody around me has one, and I've been reluctant just to order it blind. QSP Penguin, the Glide Lock. Very nice. The Frost Barlow. Black Bone with the bullet shield. Nothing wrong with the basic carry. Sunday. Therm Forge Wacky. Gerber Chunk. Coast XP6R. Nice. Zebra F701. Ridge Wallet. Okay. Carbon Fiber Ridge Wallet. Gotcha. Your keys. Victorinox SD. Key bar. Gerber Vice. That's a big the G-Shock. Another watch guy. I am wearing my Casio Wave Raptor. So this one, the Wave Raptor, at midnight picks up the atomic clock and sets the time accurately at midnight every day. These are on clearance right now. You can get them for $7 at Walmart. So, Kevin Santa, did I see you in here? Oh, Kevin Smith and Knives. Awesome. Hello, Kevin Smith and Knives. I thought I saw Kevin Santa. I guess I didn't. Kevin Smith and Knives. So, speaking of Kevin Smith, a different Kevin Smith. This is from Jay and Silent Bob. This is Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash comic book shop. This is one of their t-shirts. So, speaking of Kevin Smith. Yeah, Geek Mechanist. Right now, Walmart is clearing out a bunch of their knives that are on clearance, dirt cheap, and they are clearing out a lot of Casio, Armatron, and Timex watches. Yeah, this was originally, I think, like $41 or $42, $7 right now on clearance. I actually went and bought like 6 different Casios over the last couple of weeks. Really good deals on stuff. So I was like, I can't resist because I've never really liked having digital watches. And then lately, everybody in the watch community is like, what are you talking about? Casios are great. And yeah, I remember having Casios when I was younger and I loved them. I was like, so why not now as an adult? You know, I guess I was getting too snooty for my own good and thinking that only analog watches were, worth having. But so, like I said, Casio watches, knives, both of them at your local Walmarts are huge on clearance. Justin, I like Timex. My only problem with Timex is that the mechanisms are loud. And if you're the type of person who doesn't like hearing the ticking noise, you're not going to like Timex. For me, I don't care. I like it. I don't mind the ticking noise, but they are very loud, Timex. All of them, especially the Expedition series, but almost all your sub $200 Timexes, their movements are very loud. You get that, and you can hear it. Like when I never take my watches off when I go to bed. I usually switch out my watches in the morning, but whenever I have my Timexes on and I go to bed, and I'm type I sleep with my pillow here, and the watch is here. I can always hear it. Geek Machines. I will be there in September. Yep. But so speaking of knives that were on clearance, I picked up these two. I haven't opened them yet. This is the Outdoor Edge, the Razor SX5 with the interchangeable blade system. These are usually $25. These were on sale for $9 at Walmart. And the replacement pack of blades, I think, was down to $3. So that turned out to be a really good bargain. I haven't decided if I'm going to open this or put this into a giveaway yet. Because I've been picking up things for giveaways. I have a whole bag of knives and EDC stuff for giveaways. And I don't know if I'm going to put this in there. Dave, you could post the link. Because the way I'm set up, I can't really post it, but feel free to post the link. Absolutely. So post the link to your column, and yeah, definitely do that. And by the way, anybody who has a channel, please post your channels here. This is a place for all of us to share and grow together and be happy. So, Addicted to Blades 2, hello there. Sorry, I just realized you walked in. This was also on sale today. This Camillus, what do they call this one? The G Hammer, the Camillus G Hammer. These were on sale, $9. It's a pretty sick looking knife, but like I said, I picked this up. Might go into a giveaway. I haven't figured out if I'm going to open it or not. This was actually, let's see who the designer was on this. Yeah, this is a Darryl Ralph design, and he makes some really nice tactical knives. This being one of them. Now, this is not a great knife by any means. It's really cool looking. It's ball bearing. It's not a great steel. It's only 420 stainless. But if you're looking for a big size knife, I'm sure it will deploy very well. It's hard to see in the packaging, but it's got thumb studs and it's got a flipper tab. You know, so for $9, if you're looking for like a work knife or something like that, you know, it has a semi-deep carry clip. It doesn't look reversible. No, it doesn't look reversible, but you know, it's a liner lock. But for $9, can't go wrong. You know, definitely check out Walmart because, like I said, they're going through that clearance. So these were two of the knives again that came into the channel. Don't know what I'm doing with these yet, so keep an eye and ear out for that. They might wind up in a giveaway, or I might just go get another set of these for the giveaway. And we've got some big giveaways coming. For 2,000, for the 2,000 subscriber giveaway, which we're not that far off. We're, you know, about 290 people away from 2,000. There's going to be a premium knife in that giveaway. It's sitting over there. I'll reveal it as we get closer. But yeah, there's going to be a premium knife in that one. So something else that came into the channel this week was one that I put up in a short video today that I carried earlier in the day. And this is the Fissa. And I am not even going to try and figure out or remember what the model number is on this one. It's in the video. But look at this thing. This is sick looking. Unprofessional Dad, what's up, Chris? Oh, I appreciate that, Chris. You're the best. So, like I said, this Fissa I got, and D2 steel. You've got that modified drop point, that beautiful, beautiful thumb opening right there. And this thing's action is really smooth. It's a crossbar lock, which some people like, some people don't. Deep carry. It's not reversible, though. I think that's where they missed. They should have been able to reverse the clip because it's a crossbar lock. It would be great for lefties or righties, but full 4-finger grip, really ergonomic. And the action on it is really good. I mean, 1-finger deployment, or I should say 1-hand deployment, snaps right out. I can reverse flick this without any problem. It's hard to do because the camera's up in the air, but there, reverse flick that. Just a nice, nice knife. And these generally were selling for like $26 to $30. Right now they're down to $19. And when I bought this, there was actually a coupon that brought it down to $13. So that's why I jumped on this one. Like I said, I wasn't trying to spend much money. Robin, hello there, welcome in. So, like I said, I had to pull the trigger on this for $13, D2. And Kathleen Smith had asked me a question about this in the comments section on the video. And she was like, do you worry about it corroding because it's D2? And I said to her, I really think the whole rust and corrosion angle is a bit overblown by a lot of people. In my 40 years or so of collecting knives, I have never had a knife rust on me. Now, I will say, whenever I use a knife, I wipe it off as soon as I'm done using it. So it never stays wet, you know, and I will I will always keep it a thin layer of oil on them, or Mad wax, which is what I started using on these things now. Um, if you guys watch Mad on Aries, it was a really good show. Larry, hello there. Welcome in. Larry Curvin, hello there. So for me, I think it's overblown. The whole I'm worried about D2 rusting. Now, if you live someplace like, like maybe in Florida where it's humid and it rains every day, or out in Seattle where it rains often, maybe you'd be more worried about it than I am. But you know, yeah, exactly, Joe. That's exactly what I do. I wipe it down every time. When I'm at work, I use my blades to cut my apples or my vegetable or my fruit every day that I bring. As soon as I'm done, I have a napkin right there. I wipe it down, and then once that's once I'm done eating, I actually run to the bathroom in my office at work, and I just run water over it and wipe it down. I know not everybody can do that. Not everybody's in a situation where they can. Like if you're on a job site and when you're working or if you're working out in the field, you may not be able to get the fresh water to clean water to do that. But you know, yeah, exactly, Rob. That's a good call. You know, Matt Maurer, hello. Glad you're here. After surgery. Oh, speaking of knees and knee pain, this week I took a nasty fall at work and I banged up my elbow pretty good and I smashed both my knees, and both my knees look exactly like my elbow with road rash because I was wearing shorts to work because it was like 94 degrees. And usually my office is carpeted, but the carpet was all just torn up because we're remodeling and it was bare floor that got me, you know. Yeah, it was a rough fall because like I said, I was walking and there was a banding from a package, and I was looking ahead. I didn't look down, and I caught my foot on it, and it just took me right down. And when a 250-pound guy falls and hits knees first and smashes his elbow, it's pretty damn painful. And I've had surgery on both of my knees at some point, so it's like, oh man. But the pain was brief. I had a little swelling in my right knee, but I'm okay. Just some road rash to show. You know what they say: pain goes away, but chicks dig scars. So the glory's forever. So, like I said, that's the Fissa that came in. Then Workos sent me a new flashlight to test out and do a review video of. And this is it here. Kind of reminds me of this guy from Olight. A little different setup, but very similar in size. And I haven't even turned this on yet. I literally just took it out of the box so I could show you guys. Haven't charged it. And I actually haven't even read how to use it yet. So Workos sent that along. So I'm looking forward to putting this through its paces and doing the video on it. That should be out maybe later in the week or next week. I've got a bunch of stuff on the table that I have to shoot stuff this week. So that came in, and that's kind of cool. This came in last week, but I forgot to show it to you guys. And it's another notebook from Titanium Justin. I love Justin's artwork. And I'm a sucker for anything with skulls. And that just came out awesome. So, Justin, thank you very much. I know if you're still in the chat, but if you are, I really appreciate you sending that to me. Justin's a good dude. And I know he sells these things. So check out his, I think he's got an Etsy store if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, check him out or hit him up. And definitely, if you're a notebook person, get some of these. No problem, Dave. I appreciate you stopping in. You're a pal, so I'll talk to you, away from here. But so that's what came in. And then, of course, you guys saw the video. I did the video on the Atomic Bear pen that dropped this week, and love this thing. If you're into tactical pens, highly recommend this one. And you know me, I usually don't recommend higher priced pens. This is a $49 pen, And truthfully, if they didn't send it to me, I wouldn't have bought it. But knowing what it is now and how good it is, I could justify it. I couldn't before. But just excellent if you're into tactical pens. Now, this is something that came in this week that I had told some people about this. This is a bushcrafting knife that came in, and this is from a company called Regal Edge. Look at that puppy. Scandi grind, beautiful jimping on top, but look at that. Really, really nice knife. You know, sheath is excellent leather, high quality, double stitched, thick, nice leather, beautifully textured leather on this. You got that nice dangler right there if that's the style you're into. I would rather personally have a Kydex sheath so I could scout carry this. So I don't know, but for now, I really like this. Very positive fit in there. Like, it's not gonna just fall out, you know. It's a good fit. I like it. But this blade is really nice. Again, this is a company called Regal Edge. The best thing about it, SV30 steel. So, fantastic steel. You know, Scandi grind, yep, absolutely. You know, this is definitely a bushcrafting knife, no doubt. Nice size grip, all 4 fingers. It's got enough weight that you could do any type of bushcrafting with this. I've seen some reviews, some people take it out in the field, test it, really nice. Walnut handles. And this is about $30. So the $30 price point. Yes, Ron. Ron's not into fixed blades, but since I do a lot of outdoor stuff, I love fixed blades as well. But yeah, and I kind of got this to match up with the Thin Light by BPS. Let's go grab that real quick. Hang on for a second. Where did I put it? Is it still sitting over there? Yeah. All right, let me go grab that. Be right back, guys. If I can only remember where I left it. I swear I just had it. Overhead light on. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, and that reminds me, let me grab something else. Just be right back, guys. All right, I'm coming back. Sorry about that. I didn't prepare for this, but as usual, you know, I walk away, leave you guys hanging. All right, I'm back. Sorry. So I got that knife to go along with this one that I showed you guys last week. So this one is the BPS knives, Thin Light. So I got this one more for like wood whittling, EDC. Yes, S30V on the steel on this, S30V. So I got these as kind of companion knives for my camping and hiking, you know. I'm going to put a matching lanyard on that. But I thought these would pair up really well, you know. So, and this one also had a really nice sheath with it. This one, I like the sheath so much that I'm actually thinking I'm going to order another one just for the sheath to use for a different knife and have the other one as a backup. Because a nice sheath like this is usually pretty expensive, but you could get this whole thing for 22 bucks. So BPS, these are made in the Ukraine. So I don't mind supporting businesses in the Ukraine at all. But I thought this would be a great, a great match. Like I said, S30V for these. Now, I have no idea where this one's made. It doesn't tell you anywhere online. It's not stamped on here where this one's made. I'm going to assume this is made in China, but I could be totally wrong. But I think they match up really well. Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. So, like I said, I'm going to use this one. I'm going to get another one just for the sheath so I could use it for my TCal Agent 004. I had bought the TCal blem. So, and didn't come with a sheath. So I could either buy the sheath for like $40, the leather one from TCal. But I checked it. That TCal fits perfectly in here. It's like this was almost made for it. So for 22 bucks, I'd rather buy another one of these, But, so that's those. And lastly, I'm going to talk about something I complained about on Big Red's post. Big Red had posted a video on the new Worksharp Elite, Field Sharpener Elite. I'm a big fan of the work sharpener. So, and I've used that Worksharp Field Sharpener for a while. So now they've come out with a new edition that includes a case. Well, I had already bought a case. I've already bought a case for it. These are $9 on Amazon. And what does the new Field Sharpener include? It includes the 2 original diamond plates, and now it includes 2 more grits. So what you're getting is a case and 2 additional diamond plates, and they're charging $74 for it. So I reached out to Worksharp and said, hey, I've already got the sharpener that I've used for a long time. Can I buy the new plates separately? And they told me no, and they weren't planning to sell them separate. They said maybe if enough people asked in the future, they might consider it. But as of right now, they don't have a plan. And I'm like, really? I was like, so you want me to buy a whole new sharpener for $74 when I've already got the sharpener? I've got a case for it. I just need the 2 diamond plates to bring it up to what the new Elite version is. I think it's kind of ridiculous that they're not going to sell the plates separately. No, it's the same angle guides because they're built in. They don't change. So they don't change on it. It's the same sharpener. The only thing, like I said, it's different. And those angle guides are totally built in. I don't know how you would change them. Now the only thing that's good about this, I will say, these plates stick on here magnetically, right? And when you open it up, in here you have, places to hold hooks and your fish hooks and whatnot. So when you're sharpening them, but let's see if I can get the other side open. On the other side, it actually has storage. So what I keep in that storage is I keep a little 8 and 6 millimeter Torx, and I keep the little pry bar tool that goes with my Olight, the what are they calling it? The UT, the one that the utility blade. It's the older design where you have to use the wrench to change it. But I keep those in here. I like this a lot. This is one thing I do appreciate on this sharpener, but I really wish they would have made them available separately. It would make it a total win for me. But what are you going to do? And I also have the smaller guy, the mini field sharpener. And this usually travels in whatever bag I'm carrying. Like if I'm carrying a backpack or whatever, I will throw this in there, you know, for sharpening. And this is what I use around the house. I don't have a big sharpening system because, like I told you guys, I really don't need it because I really don't wear out my knives all that much. But it would be nice, you know. Yeah, man, I really do love the system. It's a great system, you know. Been using it for a while now, and even this one works really well. Like in a pinch, if you got to touch up something out in the field, I've used this one, you know, and this works great too. I really like it. But like I said, I'm just disappointed. Now, some people had suggested that there may be coming down the line, aftermarket companies. Let's face it, the aftermarket companies were already selling the same pouch, to keep it in, and I'm sure maybe they'll sell the plates as well. Good night, Caleb. Have a good night's sleep and feel good, my friend. I appreciate it. Yeah, it says 20 and 25 degrees built in, which is basically what this one has already. Well, actually, no, this one just has 20. Does it? Let's see. Let's take it out again. I don't remember. Yeah, so these are 20-degree guides, and then on the other side here, I believe these were 25 25. No, yeah, they're all 20 degrees. So all right, maybe you can't. Maybe on one side it's different. Maybe it is different. Maybe you could snap those out or something. But I don't know. I didn't see. Let's see. Worksharp. I didn't notice that difference. That's good to know, Jim. Appreciate that. I'll have to check it out. Either way, I'm still not going to buy a new system just to get the 25 degree because I would never use a 25 degree anyway. I'm using 20 or 15 on most things, but gentlemen of honor, hello there. Congratulations on your prize, your gaw that you won. Very cool. Angry Tom's hat next door. Hello there. The strap is 25 degrees. Okay, that's right. I thought that was the case. Okay. Yeah, so it is the same. Gotcha. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with as far as gear for this week. Not a lot, like I said. You need a spare. Makes sense. I mean, like I said, I already have the one, and this is my backup, so I'm not really going to get it. And I also have the other one that I use, which is the one that is made by NAFS, which is essentially the same as this. And that one's actually really cool as well. But that's actually the one I primarily bought to use, and I've only used it a little bit because I like this one. Just the size factor, I like this one a little bit better. So the one I got from NAFS basically sits in my little toolbox, and that's kind of would be my backup because it really is basically the same design. I recommend for the price. I missed something. What did we get, Bob? Bob says, what fixed blade was that? Just curious. I know whatchamacallit. Did I miss it? The Duchess. The Duchess? Who makes that? I'm not aware of this. Yeah, I hear the cat coming, trying to get into the room. So my wife just said the cat may be trying to get into this room. She is. Let me see if she wants to come in. FHB Duchess. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Fire hardened blades. Nice. Joe, that is one of my favorite movies. That was the movie when I was a kid that inspired me to play with computers as much as I did. And at the time, my friend Alex and we were, I think that movie came out in like 82 or 83. So we were like 12 or 13 years old. And we wanted to do exactly that kind of stuff. And we tried hacking stuff. And we actually designed at the age of 12 or 13, we designed our own text-based video game. Because, well, I shouldn't say video game, but a text-based game on the Commodore VIC-20 based because we loved that movie so much. Do you want to play a game? Let's play Global Thermonuclear War. Yeah, but Ron, those are the original two plates. They're not the new plates. It's only the fine and coarse. They don't sell the in-between plates. So, like I said, I asked Worksharp directly, and in fact, if you look on the question and answer section for that for the new sharpener, that's where they actually answered the question. So let me just see if my cat is trying to get in here. Maybe we'll put her on camera. Did you want to come in? Do you want to come in? Come on. Come here. Come here. Gotcha. Come on, let's go on camera. Let's show everybody what you look like. You're an icon. You're an icon on the computer. Let's say hello. Let's make you a internet superstar. Look at the lights. Look, everybody. It's Wednesday. My girl. My little girlie right here. She's the best cat in the world. Right? You're the best cat in the world? Tell everybody. Yeah? What? I know. You're not used to these bright lights. Mommy's saying, hey, girlie. You want to go back with mommy? Yeah? You want to go back with mommy? Say hello, everybody. Say hello. Say hi. Good girl. All right, I put you down. She has a fascination with this office that whenever the door's open, she loves to come in here. And sometimes I don't realize she's in here and I leave and I lock the door behind me. She gets locked in. So now I always have to check, you know. So she, like for the members, she's one of the members icon. So if somebody who's a member might want to hit that icon to show everybody. And by the way, she's not an ordinary black cat. She's actually a Bombay Cat. But Matt, there you go, Neil. Thank you. Those are the original plates, the coarse and fine. They're not the newer plates. They're not the in between. So, but yep, that's her. That icon is her. So, Weld and Carrie, what's up, my friend? How are you? Glad you stopped by. Oh no, she hates being. Joe, she hates being picked up. That's why I'm surprised she let me. You know. But she, like I said, she's not an ordinary black cat. I don't know if you could see it, but her pads aren't pink like most cats. They're black. Same thing, like the inside of her mouth is black because she's a Bombay cat. Where an everyday black cat will have pink and then pink on the inside. So they're different. I don't know. Supposedly they behave differently, but I wouldn't know. We had a black cat for 18 years before her, and and they have totally different personalities. So I don't know. But Weld, what are you up to? You're usually not up this late, but I'm glad you're here. Absolutely glad you're here. But I definitely have to check out that Duchess. I mean, I'm not in the mood, not in the market for a whatchamacallit, for a new fixed blade. As you can see, I just got another one. Although, did you guys see no, Demco, the Armiger 4 came out this week in MagnaCut, and that's a really great price point too. And that's a hell of a knife, and in MagnaCut, and it was under. I think it's like one. I don't remember what the price was. It was less than 200. Oh, definitely appreciate that, Weld. You know, Weld's one of my original buddies when I got into the knife community. Me and Weld hit it off right away. So, Doyle, hello there. No, I didn't know they were Chinese. Um, Doyle, from what I understood, they were making everything here, but um, it doesn't really matter to me. You know, I'm not one of those. As much as I love to support America and America first, it's hard. It's hard sometimes, especially to justify sometimes the American pricing of things. And I do support America where I can, but it's hard. And sometimes you don't truly know what you're getting if it's really American or not. I mean, my industry, I've talked about it before. Even the things that say "Made in USA," it just means that they're assembled in the USA because there's so many parts for machinery that just aren't made here in the US, and even US manufacturers have to bring it in, you know. Okay, assemblies here. Yeah, I mean, and that's fine, you know. I mean, even Leatherman, for as much as they say, made in USA, they're using parts like, for instance, the replaceable wire strippers. Those are made in Mexico. They're not made here, you know. But there are a lot of American companies who have to import certain parts, you know. They were two of the three colors were sold out, but I got an email this afternoon that they still had some left. And when I checked, they had a couple of the black. I mean, I don't know if it was a couple. They had the black still left in stock, you know. But yeah, I'm sure they were going to sell out by the end of the day anyway. Because like I said, I got that email, you know. Possibly, Joe. There are still some things here that like for instance, the let's face it, the Kershaw Bel Air, magna cut blade, aluminum handles, fantastic, fantastic knife, right? Come on, they're 100. I actually saw them on sale. I think today for like 100 and it was $124 or $134. You know, that's so much less money than say what Benchmade is doing, what Spyderco is doing, and that knife absolutely blows the blows the bug out away. You know, the Deca Hogue, or the Hogue Deca, I should say. Those, I mean, really selling for much less than their competition. You know, and those are two great American-made blades that aren't ripping people off. You know, they're great values. So you don't have to. The price doesn't necessarily have to be up there. You know. But that's neither here nor there. Like I said, I've got American made knives, I've got foreign made knives, you know, it's all that kind of stuff. But it's all good. Yeah, the armigers. I had a feeling they were going to sell out pretty quick, you know. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too. You know, let's face it, we have like Katuo and brands like that are made in China that are high priced brands. So the price doesn't always dictate where it's made, you know? But yeah. Now see here's all right, Weld. Speaking of which, Wuben has a set of lights coming to me. They should be here by the end of the week. The G5 is one of them. And there's another light in there that's I actually don't remember what light they're sending me. There's another light that's going to be in that package. But the Wuben G5, all right, you're talking about right now, it's currently $20 on Amazon and $20 through their website. But there are Wuben G5 clones, which are like 15 bucks, which are the exact same light. They just don't say Wuben. So my question is, and I said this before, and I'm going to probably ask Wuben about this. Is Wuben making those for these other companies? Or are these other companies making it and Wuben's just putting their name on them? You know? I mean, if you just go to Amazon and bring up the Wuben G5, you'll see it says people also buy, and it's got all these others that are exactly the same, but without the Wuben name, and they're selling for $14. You know, I'm going to stick with the Wuben because, like I said, I'm a fan of Wuben. You know, I like their products, and I am collaborating with them. You know, to be honest, so I wouldn't buy the clone, but maybe I should buy the clone just to compare it. You know, but it is what it is. So how many people? We've got 33 people in here. We've got 37 likes, so that's good. That means all of you have hit the like button. I'm pretty sure. I appreciate that. You know, and for people who missed the beginning of the show, channel memberships are available. You can. I put the link to those right in the description. They're at the top of the description for this. So yeah, it wouldn't hurt to compare. You know, um, at the same time though, I don't want to do it to the detriment of Wuben. You know, like I said, I am working with Wuben. They're not telling me what to say or anything, but they did send me product, and I want to be fair about it. You know, maybe after I do my initial unboxing video of that stuff, and you know, then maybe I'll do a comparison video after the fact. Actually, that's an idea I had. I had an idea about taking some clone knives and some clone flashlights and doing a video comparing them clone to the original, you know. And I'm not talking about counterfeit. I'm not talking about a fake Benchmade that's, you know, that says Benchmade on it. But there are clones out there that, you know, aren't labeled. They're not trying to fool people, but it's the same design, you know. You know what knife I really want to get, and it's not an expensive one. I want to get the Shark Cub, the Demko Shark Cub. It's such a great little EDC knife at 2.5 inches. You could take it anywhere. It's got the solid, you know, it's got the shark lock, and you can get the light version of it for like what, under 80 bucks, you know. Wait, I missed Salvo Zen. What knife do you have the original goat scales on? Craig Vincent, hello there. Ramsey Silent gifting a membership to Salvo Zen. Thank you, Ramses. Now you get a phaser set on kill. Phaser salute. But yeah, Salvo Zen, what knife did you have the original goat scales on? I'm just curious. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. I have thought about upgrading my Hogue Deca scales, um, and the AD 20.5. Stacy, hello there. Thank you for joining in. How are you doing tonight, Stacy? Doing well? But like I said, I am thinking about upgrading the scales on my. I missed the boat. Um, they had titanium scales on. Was it Knife Center? Yeah, Knife Center had titanium scales for the 20.5 that were on clearance, and they went down to like $24 or $29 or something like that. And for some reason, I forgot to order them, and then when I went back to order them, they were gone. So you know, I definitely want to upgrade those scales because the like where Benchmade's, you know, plastic scales, they're okay. They don't feel that bad. The ones on the 20.5 feel really cheap, in my opinion. They feel cheap. In fact, they don't. I have an 80/20 clone that I got that has scales that are better than what came on the actual Demco 20.5. And what you call it, the on my Hogue deck, I definitely want to do something with the scales on that. But I think I want to get a set of blue titanium scales, so that way it keeps the original look of the blue scales, the blue FRN scales that are on there. You know. Yes, I have the small pivot, Bob. Yep, I have the small pivot. Those are, that's yeah. Yep. And there are a bunch of places that sell them. Um, I just haven't gotten around to getting them. Good night, Jim. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being a member. Thank you so much. So much. I appreciate it. You know. But yeah, I definitely want to upgrade those. I did buy another thing of RIT dye this week. I bought some black RIT dye because there's some knives that I wanted to kind of customize a little bit. So I've got some of that in mind. Um, so that's something else that's going to be coming this week. I'm probably going to work on that. There's some knives that just the scales need to be changed a bit. You know, we'll see how that works out. I've got first thing I'm going to do is try doing a black and white combination scale set. I have a set. I have a knife, cheap knife with white G10 that I want to try doing that on. So that way, if I screw it up, doesn't matter. I just throw it in and make them all black. If the blue combination blue and black doesn't work the way I want it, you know. But yeah, definitely the FRN definitely needs an upgrade because it's just cheap feeling on the Demco. You know, it doesn't. It just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't feel right. But and after a couple weeks now, I am still loving this CJRB bolt. By the way, and what I'm finding is now the more I'm using it, the the top, the top mechanism is starting to work just as well as using the crossbar lock, you know, that vault lock or whatever they're calling it, you know. But yeah, I'm finding that's starting to work really well now. That's breaking in, and this knife is smooth, man, really smooth on the deployment. And I just think the black with the red stud is just that little subtle pop of color just makes this knife look so damn good. I'm one of those guys like I don't know why companies, and I guess I know why, but I would always do it's a great knife, man. Like I said, the more you work it in, this becomes much easier to use. But I would mean personally, if I were, when I will actually, when I do design my own knife, there's always going to be a pop of color on the stud. I just think knives with just the slightest little pop of color just look so good. Like even on the CJRB, the Mormalaya, that gold stud is just a slight accent of color with the gold pivot collar, but it just makes it look so much better, I think. If that were just black, I think it gets lost, you know? But like even here on this Sencut, if that was a different color stud, this would look so much better. Or if that was a red stud to match the handle way, you know, which I think I'm probably going to do. I'm probably going to throw a set of red studs on there. I think I have a set somewhere, you know, but I think that would make that just pop. You know, even all right, now this Fissa doesn't have studs, but even just that little touch of red around the pivot collar just, again, makes it pop, you know. And I know some people, like, the colorways really don't mean a thing because they're more about the functionality, but why not have fun with it? Why not, you know, enjoy our knives? I have to do one thing. I should have to close that door because the cat went out and I want to isolate the sound in here. You want to see something cool? So I have most of my movies downloaded digitally, but I still have a case. I still have a DVD case. It's pretty big, you know, and I've got, I don't know, maybe 500 DVDs on it, you know, maybe not that many, maybe like 300. But I had this Blockbuster sign 3D printed that sits on top of the case, and I actually bought a lot of movies used from Blockbuster, so when they were going out of business, so they still have the original Blockbuster cases on it. So when I get nostalgic for the old days, I've got my own little Blockbuster, which is kind of cool. There's nothing wrong with stonewash. My favorite finish though on a blade, I like DLC coated blades. I like PVD coated. I prefer, like, if I can get a knife with a black blade over a satin blade or a stonewash blade, that's how I'll usually go. Um, you know, like the bolt, for instance. I like the black on black. I kind of like that tactical kind of colorway. You know, yeah, Bob. I love this sign. You know, very cool. I have somewhere. I still have an old Blockbuster membership card somewhere, hidden in a box somewhere. You know, but yeah, that, you know, nostalgic for the old days. You know, but yep, I used to love going to Blockbuster. You know, get out of work. You know, yeah, I just, but also too, I guess because when I was a kid, I was always watching army movies and, you know, war movies and spy movies, and everything they had was always camouflaged or olive green or black, and I just kind of fell in love with that stuff. I mean, when I was in my younger days, I'd wear camouflage pretty much like every other day. You know, if I wasn't wearing blue jeans or black jeans, I had camouflage. That's what I wore, you know, with some type of heavy metal t-shirt. Not a lot has changed. So, by the way, not a lot has changed. I have a closet that has, I don't remember the count. I think there's 175 shirts in that closet. And I think like 140 of them are black. My wife could attest to that. You know, black concert shirts or black novelty shirts. You know, I just wear black a lot. Yep, yep. And the funny thing is, I wanted to join the army, but I never did because my my grandfather basically forbid it, um, and I kind of understood why. I am the last person with my family name So the hope was that I would have kids and carry on the family name. So they were afraid that if something happened and I got killed, that wouldn't happen. Well, little did they know, I still don't have kids, and I'm probably not going to. Sorry. But that's the truth. That's why my grandfather basically sat with my dad and he was like, no, he can't join the military, you know? And I probably should have. I wish I would have, to be honest. And I respect everybody who's ever served for that reason. I think I would be a much more disciplined person than I am now. Yeah, well, Stacy, it's one of those things. Me and my wife, when we've been married, it's 20 years now, basically, and I what you would call it? We had discussed it early, like when we were first together. Like every year, we would kind of discuss: do we want to have kids or do we not? And to be honest, we're the type of people we like having our freedom. We like being you know dual income, no kids, giving us the freedom to kind of do what we want. And I respect people who do have kids. It's not anything against it. But gentleman of honor, I have the Flytanium beef. Basically, the one with the red handle, black blade, the red stud. I love that knife, and I had thought about upgrading to the S90V replacement blade, but I thought about it. It's like, well, they guarantee that blade unconditionally, so why bother? At least for me, you know. Um, and then I thought about it after the fact, and I said, well, maybe I should, you know. So I don't know. Is it worth it? Is it, gentleman of honor? Is it worth upgrading to the S90V? Because it's only like $70, right? Stacy, 100%, 100%. Yep. Geek machinist. Yep. The only children I have are fur babies. You know, who I would say they don't talk back, but my cat does talk back. She gets out of line and she controls the house. So there's that. But you know, but I love my fur babies. Yeah, exactly. As Book Dragon Jen, my wife says, if we had kids, we would have had them, but we weren't actively trying. Yeah, Stacy, absolutely, absolutely, very cool. Orange cats are awesome, by the way. We used to have a cat when we lived in our old house. The neighbors had a cat that we called him Orange Guy because he was never in their house and he was always outside and he would always come and play with us and he'd follow us. Like if we walked from our house to the car, he'd walk with us. When we got home, he'd be waiting by our cars and he'd walk with us and he'd want to come in our house. But he was technically the neighbor's cat. And I got a little pissed at them because when one of the hurricanes came up, they left that cat outside. And thank God nothing happened to it. But Orange Guy, I still have pictures of Orange Guy. He was awesome. And if they weren't neighbors and if they wouldn't have found out, I would have taken Orange Guy into our house. You know, but Orange Guy was such a great cat. And I don't even know what the cat's name was. We used to call him Orange Guy. But he was such a beautiful cat. And I'm sure it's everybody who's a cat owner knows. Um, you're not truly in charge of your own house when you have a cat. The cat's in charge. You know, the cat's always in charge. You know, you feed them, you give them water, you clean up their poop box. They don't do that for you. They just cuddle up in front of you, purr, let you pet them on their terms. That's cool, Joe. You know, um, if anything happens to us, everything we have is probably going to go to our niece and nephew. You know, except for my guitars. My friend Steve gets all my guitars. Yes, Salvo, it's in. Very good. Yeah, that my wife's not lying about that. Book Dragon Jen. Our cat, my wife Jen goes to bed about the same time every night. She's up a little late today because I'm on the live stream. She's watching in, but she usually goes to bed around 10 o'clock because she gets up very early in the morning. But starting around 9:30, not between like 9:30, 9:45, my cat starts to harass my wife to go to bed and will follow my wife until she goes to bed. So my wife will go in, get ready for bed, and the cat will go in the bathroom with her, and but she will put my wife to bed. And then what happens is when my wife's asleep, she comes out to get me. Usually around 2 in the morning, she'll come out and she'll start meowing at me to want to go to bed. And if I don't go to bed till like 3, she'll sit there and just stare at me until I go to bed. And then she'll follow me in and she'll go to bed as well. And then she gets up at around 5 in the morning, looks to see if either one of us is awake. And if we happen to turn and look like we're awake, she'll jump right up and start screaming at us to feed her. You know, my motto was, "There's plenty of kids out there. If I, yes, yes, you know, and and we're at an age now. I think it would be too. I wouldn't say it's too late, but if say we did have a kid now, by the time that kid's 20, I'd be 75. And nobody wants an older parent like that. At least I don't think so. You know, but what do I know? I'm just a guy. So we've got 32 people in here still. I appreciate that. You know, I appreciate all of you liking the, giving us a thumbs up. How many? What? 34 people and 41 likes. Very cool. Very cool. I appreciate it. So, so tonight, the wife and I were very lazy. We were doing our grocery shopping, and my wife was like, "You don't feel like cooking tonight?" I was like, "Nope." It's like it's a hot and muggy day out. And even though the air conditioner's on, I didn't really want to, kick on the oven or anything. So we wound up buying a turkey breast from the supermarket, buying potato pancakes, and we had dinner of turkey breast and potato pancakes. And you know what? It was good. It was really good. You know, and I don't know if it was just good because it was easy and I didn't have to cook tonight, or the cleanup was really easy, but I enjoyed it. Sometimes you just got to do that kind of thing. You know, last weekend I made a lasagna. I do love cooking, you know, but I think in a lot of ways, cats read from the same playbook. Neil, if it wasn't in the closet blocked, I actually have one of those Cozart Telecasters. They are actually that's a guitar that punches way over its price point. Um, I did change the neck out on mine, but Greg Vanderlip, hello there. Welcome in. Welcome in. Yeah, the Cozart guitars actually do punch above that price point, so you'll be happy with it. Just give it a good setup when it comes in because those inexpensive guitars are very rarely set up properly out of the factory. But give it a good setup, and you'll love it. And at the very least, it'll be a good modding platform if you want to change pickups out on it. Or like I said, I changed what you call it. I changed the neck out because I knew somebody who had a Fender Telecaster neck from a Fender standard Tele, and I threw that neck on it, and it fit perfectly. Everything lined up perfect. It was great. So now it even looks like a Fender. Plays like it. And to be truthful, ooh, Geek Machinist. I'm not a Fender. I'm not a Telecaster guy. Like I had it because I wanted to add one to my collection, But if given the option, I take a Strat over a Telly every day of the week that ends in Y. But that's just me. I mean, I don't play that style of music either. Um, it's got its own very much an individual sound. I will say Telecasters have a great sound, but not for the music I play. You know, um, you want to see something cool? Whoops. Yeah, see, I'm not a twang guy. I don't know if I showed you guys this one. This is my. I think I might have showed you guys this. I'm not sure. My purple Strat. So this is kind of a bastardized Strat. Um, this was originally a Jimi Hendrix model Strat, except that who had it before me broke the neck. So I got the guitar, and I was like, well, now I've got a Fender neck, which I had already, because I've got parts coming out the yin yang that are just sitting around here. I mean, like whole I've got a whole cup full of guitar tuners, neck plates, all kinds of screws, everything else under the sun, right there because from working on all the stuff. But I wound up throwing this neck on it, this Fender standard Strat neck, and then I changed out the pick guard and threw the single coil humbucker setup in it, and this guitar just looks awesome, you know. But it started life out as a Hendrix Strat. I was going to get a Hendrix replacement neck and bring it back to its original. Thanks, Roger. But I was like, screw it. To get a replacement authentic Hendrix Strat neck, they want like $379. And I'm like, it's just not worth it, you know. But that's what I did with that, you know. Geek Machinist, you want to know a guitar that has a lot of twang? Yes, you remember when I did that one, Jen. This guitar has a lot of twang. This is a Silvertone Heaven Hawk 67, I believe. And with the lipstick pickups, this has a ton of twang. This is a twang monster. And it's got these interesting controls. The outer ring is the tone, and the center ring is the volume for each pickup. So you can adjust the tone and volume. So it's almost like having, the four controls like you would on a Les Paul, but in one set of controls, which is kind of cool. And you've got a three-way switch, so basically you're either running front, back, or both combined. So kind of cool. I like that one a lot. That one's a really good surf guitar. And let me rearrange these because one of these, actually, I'm going to throw this on that other guitar rack over there. Hold, folks. Be right back. You can just sit right in here. You can sit over there on this rack. But, I'm bending a little bit. Okay. Like I said, I've got guitar parts everywhere. I've got this body, which is ready to get a neck thrown on it, ready to go. Another Strat. But a lot of these projects take time. And I don't necessarily have the time to work on all these guitars and do knives and do knife videos and work my full-time job. Eagle Scout EDC, what is up, brother? Eagle Scout, I saw you today on Gareth's live stream, and you were getting pretty emotional, man. And I get where you were coming from. So, I thought you did a really good job. And by the way, Gareth's live stream thing was fantastic, with everybody reaching out and thanking Jimmy Crow for what he's done for the community. Man, Jimmy Crow is just he's definitely I don't want to say an American treasure, but he's a treasure in the knife community. That guy is awesome. He did the same thing for me. He gave me a knife to give away, which you guys know was given away. That's actually the one that's going out tomorrow to Jim Miller, for, because he won the 1,500 giveaway, subscriber giveaway. So he had a knife in there, and Unprofessional Dad Chris, he had sent one along, so Jim won both of those. And Jimmy Crow is just one of those great people in the community. Same as same as Kelly White. Really awesome people. Then you have the Strat Acoustic, nice. It's a great acoustic electric guitar if you can find them, and you can get them relatively inexpensive, but they're not easy to find because there aren't that many around anymore. If you could find a Kramer Therington, it has a great sound, but it's got that slick 80s metal neck. So you could play these amazingly fast runs on it, right? You can go right down lightning fast, but it has a great acoustic sound because it's got a full, Strat shaped kind of body. It's a great electric acoustic guitar. It's a Kramer Therington. I don't have one. My friend Joe had one, and I envy that guitar. I really wish I could get my hands on one. Carvin when Carvin was still making guitars before they switched over to being Kiesel, for the longest time, I wanted that pointy, heavy metal guitar that Carvin made. And I would always go on, you'd get the Carvin catalog and you can price out everything. And when I was younger, I didn't have the money. Then when I had the money, I was like, I don't want to, invest in a Carvin. Because the one thing about Carvins, their resale value is not very good because it's a total, because they were custom and you were basically picking all the components you wanted. When you go to resell them, they don't hold a lot of value. So that's the one thing that prevented me from getting a Carvin. Which is funny because Kiesel is the same company and they switched the Carvin name off just for their audio products, and they kept everything as the Kiesel name for their guitars. And Kiesels have a great resale value. I don't understand it. Same company, just name change. With that being said, there are some Kiesels I'd like, but you could still get that heavy metal. I think it was called like an MT20 or something like that. That heavy metal shaped star pointy guitar. Kiesel still makes that, and if you request it, they will put the Carvin name on the headstock. But I don't want to shell out $2,500 to $3,000 for a guitar, even though it was one of my Grail guitars when I was a kid. Oh yeah, Neil, you wouldn't regret it. They make great stuff. What I really love is the Carvin Steve Vai, the Legacy amplifiers. Those things sound amazing. And those you can still get on the secondary market relatively, I won't say cheap, but relatively inexpensive. Not cheap, because you're still going to pay a decent price for them, but you're not going to pay the price you'd pay for a used Marshall, vintage Marshall, or a used vintage Fender, But you can get them, and they sound amazing to this day. This is the music portion of the show where we lose half the knife audience. So, sorry about that. Whenever we switch to talking guitars, a lot of the knife people drop out. And I'm sorry, folks. We have some varied interests here. Food, guitars, music, whatever. But, so if you came here strictly for knives, we do a little bit more than that each Sunday. We're off the rails. But if you get me talking music, you know what happens. I get totally lost. By the way, speaking of music, you guys ever use one of these? It's an Electro Harmonics 5mm power amp. So you can use this to power your 4x12 speaker. This one, I believe, this power amp is a little dusty because it's been on the floor, under the desk. I believe these are all a 50, even though it's called a 5mm, I think these are like 15 watts of power. you know. I don't know, Eagle Scout. Sounds like you're getting the short end of the stick financially on that, to be honest. I don't know if I would do that, just me personally. But these things are great. I mean, it's just a volume, and you have a bright switch and a normal switch. So basically, you're going to get this pushing through your effects rig and giving you your sound. So if you're using this with like a modeling pedal, you can get a lot of different sounds. You know, you can keep this in your bag as like a backup amp in case something happens at a gig and your amp goes. You can actually just plug right into this to power your speaker. These are really great. You know, let's see, what else do we have? This is an essential piece of gear. A Tascam 6-track digital recorder with built-in microphones that actually sound pretty good. You know, but I don't know. These are great because they're small. You could throw these into your guitar gig bag, and you could take it. You could just jam with people and record anywhere to get your ideas. And then before you get to the studio, you have all your ideas digitally. You can even use this in the house for home recording because the sound on this is amazing. This is better. This little thing that you can get for like 150 bucks is better sounding than all the professional equipment I used in the 80s. So pretty sick. Oh, the downdraft is great. I was just thinking about the money value, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe it is a good deal. I could be wrong. A few low end strats. Yeah, Craig, that's the way I am. Like I'm the opposite. I own a couple of basses, even though I'm a guitar player. I have my Squire Jazzmaster copy, which is here. Let's move that over a little bit. So I think I'm stuck on the wheels. Oh, here we go. Where am I stuck? Oh, I'm stuck on that guitar. All right. So I have this one. This is my Jazzmaster, my Squire Jazzmaster. I don't really play bass other than to write music with. But I like the Squire a lot for the price and for what I'm using it for. It's perfect. And then I have a Crate Precision, Fender Precision copy. I've never actually had a Fender bass, but I've had the lower end, like the Squire, and that Squire sounds fine for what I use it for. And the only bass amps I have are these little Black Stars. I use these little Black Star amps, bass amps. These are specifically for bass, and these stack. There's two of them, and they stack, and they work really well. Let's put those back. Yeah, Eagle Scout. Then I would go that way. The only reason why you had asked me if I was interested, I would have been interested, except that out the front automatics are illegal in my state, so I'm not really ever going to carry it. If I had it, gotcha. Yeah, so you know what, Salvo Zen, yeah, actually, I take that back, Eagle Scout. That is actually a pretty good deal. The only out the front knife I have, Eagle Scout, by the way, is this little guy. Which is more of a little fidget toy for me. But even this little stupid thing would get me in trouble in my state if I walked around and got caught with it. This never leaves my desk. because automatics and out the fronts are illegal in my state. So otherwise, I might have made you an offer for that one, Eagle Scout, 'cause that's a beautiful knife, but just not worth having it. Yeah, Neil, check out when you get a chance. When you go, after when we wrap up, go and check out the Kramer Farrington. Such a great guitar. Oh, you know what then? Eagle Scout, that's a no-brainer. Definitely go for the downdraft, especially in the yeah, in the dark mode for the Blade Range exclusive. 100% go for that. That's a no-brainer. I would actually, I would make me that deal like instantly. Did not realize that's the downdraft you were talking about. But yeah, no, you're making a good deal then. 100%. So with a max. Are you in California, Salvo? Is that where you're located? Just curious, because I'm in New Jersey, and fun knives are like this. Like this thing's just a fidget monster. I could play with this all day. It's just so much fun. You know. Oh, Connecticut. Okay. Oh, so you're not far at all. But yeah, I wish New Jersey would get rid of that stupid rule, because realistically, same thing. Gravity knives are illegal here too, which you know I don't know. I just I think that switch technically out the side knives, automatic knives, they're all getting a bad rap from like the 50s, when all these movies were made and all the bad guys carried the Italian switchblades, the stilettos. I think people are still living in the dark ages with that stuff, not realizing that I can deploy this knife just as quickly as an automatic side opening knife, you know, and I can just as easily do that by pressing the button and deploy that just as fast, if not faster, than any out the side knife automatic. So I think people just don't know. I think that's why, like, the knife rights group, you know, is really useful. I know Vermont just repealed the out the front automatic knife laws. So yeah, that whole area in Connecticut is beautiful. I mean, I like Connecticut a lot. I've been spent a lot of time there over the years, on vacations, and also I used to do, like, years ago. I used to work for Lowe's, and a lot of the training they used to send us off to Danbury to do a lot of the training for the management and whatnot. So, mm. Now Rhode Island is another beautiful state that people don't really talk about much. You know, I mean, all the New England states are really beautiful. Let's be honest. Mm. Gotcha. Wow. There are a lot of things that I sold 20 years ago that I wish I still had. You know. Oh, I don't doubt that. Some of those weddings could be crazy. Um, I've been to some expensive weddings too. Not mine. Me and my wife, we had a nice wedding at one of the resorts in Pennsylvania. Didn't cost us a fortune. We had, I don't know, about 35 people there. It was a small wedding, and it was so much fun. We had like the greatest weather in the world that day. We got married in the fall, and it was a unseasonably like 70-degree beautiful day. So we got very lucky. Oh wow. Owner of a casino in Vegas. Jesus. That must be some major cash there, I'm assuming. The New England corner of the knife community. We've got Caleb in Massachusetts. So it's another person in the New England states. But what time is it? It's 11:41. It's 11:41. Do you know where your children are? Wow. That's pretty cool. Billy Joel, not a nice person, by the way. Just, I know from, well, I don't know directly. I know my dad had experiences with Billy Joel. My dad worked in his recording studio, um, helped setting it up and building it, and did all the electronic work in there. And Billy Joel was, heard some stories. He's apparently not a really nice guy. Thanks for being here, Eagle Scout EDC. You're awesome. And by the way, I got your stickers, and they've been included in some of the prize packs. So we're getting your stickers out there, buddy. Has anybody seen the new Superman movie? I hear it's kind of cool, but I hear it's kind of made more for kids than adults. Although I could be wrong on that. Anybody see it yet? Just curious. I want to, because it actually looks pretty cool to me. They're not making Superman this all powerful guy like in the comic books, you know? I've always found him to be, when I was a kid, I loved Superman, but then as I got older, I found him to be boring, you know? Because they just made him so super powerful. Where I think in this movie, they scaled that, from what I'm seeing, they scaled that back a lot, you know? But nope, I guess not. I was just curious. I hear the F1 movie is really great. I didn't get around to seeing that yet, and I'm a huge F1 fan, so I want to see that movie. But it's been out for 3 weeks now, so you know how things hit the streaming services. It'll probably be on, you know, Max or one of the other services probably within about 3 weeks. So we're at that point where, like, I don't know if you guys remember, but like back in the 80s and 90s, like a movie would be in the theaters, and then it would take like 6 months to a year to come out on home video, where now it's just a matter of weeks. I heard it's worth a watch. Basically, if you like guns movies, you'll probably like, but it's not yeah. I mean, here's the thing: can we really invent this? The superhero genre at this point. You know, um, you know, it's it's one of those things. I think the fact that they're retelling the Superman story and changing him up a little bit is kind of cool, because the Superman movies were getting boring. You know, um, my driver. Okay, I am, since he's one of the newer drivers on the scene. I am a huge Lando Norris fan, but I am also a Lewis Hamilton fan. I love Lewis. Lewis is just like, beside being a great driver, he's just great even outside the car. You know what he does for different charities and everything else. Lewis is just a excellent human being, and I love Lewis Hamilton. You know, but as far as current drivers, I love Lando. Like like a couple years ago when he was just getting onto the podium, but he wasn't winning, and I kept waiting for that breakthrough moment. And last season was that breakthrough, and now him and Piastri, at Piastri at number one and him right behind him at number two. I love the fact that you've got a chase for the championship between two drivers on the same team. One, that's going to get really competitive between the two of them as we go further down, like after the summer break. It's going to be a great run for the championship, you know. And I like the fact that Verstappen's getting his ass kicked this year, and the fact that Red Bull has dropped because let's face it, Verstappen is the evil empire, so to speak. I don't know how anybody can like Verstappen. He's a crybaby when he loses. You know, everything. It's never his fault. Schumacher is probably well, I don't know about that anymore. I mean, Lewis just about holds every record now, but it was a different time period. You know, Mystic Seaport is a lot of fun. You know, that whole area there, the aquarium. Oh, they did absolutely. Horner got thrown under the bus. You know, but they have a team that they have a car that's set up for Verstappen, and nobody else seems to be able to drive that second car. Perez wasn't bad, you know, and they booted him out, and then they replaced him, and then a few races in, they're like, no, let's put Sonoda there, and now they've already announced Sonoda's not going to be back for next year, and it looks like Verstappen at the end of the season is going to move to Mercedes. From what I've read and from everything I'm hearing, Mercedes is going to go hot and heavy after Verstappen after the season. So who the hell knows what's going to happen with Red Bull? And I'm looking forward to seeing Cadillac next year because Cadillac's going to have Perez, and well, it's either going to be Schumacher or um, Valerie Bottas. I think it should be Bottas. Bottas is awesome, you know, but it's going to be an interesting sprint to the finish here to see who comes up number one, you know, and hopefully Ferrari gets their shit together so that way, you know, Lewis and Leclerc can surge forward in the second half. Oh, absolutely. I think Red Bull is set to tumble. You know, they have a bunch of points already this year because of Verstappen, but who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of years. But thing about Red Bull is Red Bull's never bad for long because they will do whatever's needed because they're not afraid to spend money. Well, I mean, Bottas wasn't really cursed with. I mean, the last couple of years, yes, but not when he was with Mercedes and he was driving with Lewis. I mean, those guys were on the podium constantly. Usually Lewis at number one and Bottas somewhere at two or three. Bottas with Mercedes was amazing, but it just goes to show you how important a team and the car are in F1. You know, that's why like F1 is such a different sport than NASCAR, and I love them both, but for different reasons. NASCAR, you have a different winner every week. You have a different top three every week, where teams like Alpine and just don't have a chance to win. You're not going to see them. You're not going to see them in first place. Periodically, they may get a podium, but it's a different type of. Even though they're both the sport of racing, they're completely different sports. You know, and the one thing I do appreciate about F1 over NASCAR, I enjoy having races wrapped up in 2 hours. I don't have the time anymore to watch NASCAR with a 5 to 6 hour race every week. So now I basically watch a 1 hour condensed version of NASCAR like on Mondays. You know, what's F1? It's the driving sport that they love in Europe that over here not so much. Over here, we're IndyCar and NASCAR. Indy being number one, I should say NASCAR being number one, Indy being number two, which wasn't always the case in this country. In the 70s, Indy was much bigger than NASCAR, but that changed over the years. When the Indy Racing League split with CART and they became two separate organizations, it really screwed Indy, you know. But Formula One's a great sport, and we do have three races here in the U.S., which makes Europeans really mad. Over in Europe, they're complaining constantly. Like if you go to the message boards, how they hate the fact that the USA has three races now. But what most Europeans don't realize is how big our country is. They don't realize that a race in Vegas is literally halfway, is on the other side of the country, you know, from Miami. They don't get it because France is so close to England, so close to Germany, so close to Spain. All those countries are so close to each other. You know, no pinkies out. It's NASCAR with a square steering wheel and the ability to turn right and left. You know, F1 is the top racing in the world. Um, it's amazing how much money that sport generates. You know, but but NASCAR's a billion-dollar industry as well. It's not a bunch of good old boys like it used to be years ago. It's that sort of thing. NASCAR back in the day. I mean, I lived in New York City, and nobody I knew watched NASCAR except for me and my dad. Which is why we've never had a race anywhere near the city. The closest you get is Pocono in Pennsylvania or Watkins Glen, upstate New York, but nowhere near the city. You know, but it is what it is. I also love MotoGP. Oh, absolutely, Anthony. Yep. They all the technology that's in F1 eventually trickles down to production vehicles. Yep, nope, you're right, Eagle Scout. That's good racing as well. You know, but if you ask me though, they're all kind of they're all what's the word I want to look for? Racing in a car is lots of fun, but you ever watch the Isle of TT or the Isle of Man TT motorcycle races? You know, um, bikes doing 200 miles an hour through the streets of the Isle of Man. It's the sickest racing you'll ever watch on any type of vehicle. MotoGP, I love MotoGP. You know, I still pray to our patron saint, the to the order of Valentino Rossi. Valentino Rossi, our our Italian savior. So Neil, over here, not far from where I work in Middletown, New York, we've got the dirt track there, and man, those cars are loud. I work probably a quarter of a mile away from that track, and when they are running those cars, going into some of the big race weekends, you can hear them practicing like a quarter mile away. Those cars are so loud, you know, but so much fun though. Only thing is when you go to that track and you sit in the crowd, be prepared to be covered in a layer of dust when you leave from all the dirt getting kicked up off the tracks. But yeah, I love racing in all its forms. You know, one of the races I want to compete in um, is called the Scooter Cannonball. It's held every 2 years where they race scooters across country. So You've got your Vespas, your Piaggios, your Hondas. Anything scooter is eligible as long as it's not higher than 350cc engine. And doing the scooter cannonball, it's kind of like, it's exactly like it sounds. It's like the cannonball run, but for people on scooters, and then you race across country. I think last year last time was 2 years ago. I think, no, 2024. Last year went, because it happens every 2 years. They went from California to the East Coast. Prior to that one, they went from North Carolina to Southern California. And man, that is some fun racing. I have friends who competed in it, and it is so much fun because you ride, so many miles per day, and you have to check in at checkpoints, and then they all gather at the hotel or the campsite, wherever they're staying, with their bikes, and they all help each other work on their bikes, back and forth, whether it's changing, belts, whether, changing tires, oil changes, everything. Next morning, they all get up early, try to beat each other to the next stop. But you get points along the way for taking photos or stopping at points of interest and checking in. And then at the end, whoever gets there first isn't necessarily the winner, because then you have to check, because you get extra points for stops along the way. It's called the Scooter Cannonball. Look it up. It's really kind of cool. There's a lot of video on it. There's also on, I want to say it's Hulu, or maybe Amazon Prime. They did a movie on one of the teams from like 6 years ago, where they followed the team across country on the Scooter Cannonball. And man, it looks like so much fun. But so many people wind up getting hurt in the race. I have a friend, she crashed almost at the completion. They started on the East Coast and they headed to the West Coast. On almost the last day, she took a turn too fast, and the wheels went out from under her. She went flying, and she wound up breaking her arm and totaling the bike. But I felt so bad for her. But she was racing with her partner, and both of them were racing together. And what's great is that you have the people racing, and then you have support teams behind them. There's usually a van or a pickup truck that has extra parts, extra tires, and whatnot, so that way they could do repairs along the way. It's really fascinating. It's the Scooter Cannonball. Definitely check it out if you get a chance. Watch some of the videos. A couple of my friends, they posted day-by-day videos in the last one that you could look up online and follow everything, where they went. And the camaraderie, it's just like the knife community. Those people all have to help each other. Yes, it's a competition, and they're there to win. But a lot of them aren't necessarily there to win, but they're just there to participate, enjoy the sportsmanship, enjoy the, getting together at night, everybody going to dinner, everybody working on each other's bikes and that sort of thing. So it looks awesome. Like I said, I haven't competed in it. I wasn't in the shape to compete in it, physically or financially. Now that I've lost 110 pounds, I feel like I could compete in it, no problem. I would still work out a bunch beforehand, because riding on a bike for 12 hours a day is not easy. It's physically demanding, but we are almost at the end of the show. We're just about at the 2-hour mark. And I want to thank everybody who signed up. I want to thank everybody who gave a super chat today. You guys are all awesome, you guys and girls. I love you all so much. You guys just don't know. I love this community. I want to thank everybody. And with that being said, you know what I'm going to say. Until we meet again, keep your blade sharp. Good night, everybody. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow in somebody else's stream.